Hello, I'm Irma Baker. Welcome to our show. We're sponsored by RSVP, the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, which is part of Mature Services. And what we like to do on these shows is introduce you to interesting people and organizations and things going on in our viewing area. Well, we have our special guest today who will be with us right after this message.
RSVP of Summit County has been making a difference in our community since 1972. RSVP volunteers are increasing the quality of life by participating in programs and organizations that provide important services to the community. RSVP matches personal interests and skills with opportunities to serve. If you're interested in adding more meaning to your life and improving the lives of others, please call 330-253-4597 extension 166.
Welcome back. Those of you who've watched our shows over the years, you know this guest. He's Robert Fenn, and he's the Public Affairs Specialist for Social Security Administration. Robert, it's always so wonderful to have you on the show. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to get and have a conversation with you and for the viewers, so it's a great opportunity. Thank you again.
Well, so many of our viewers are very dependent on Social Security. It's really maybe their major source of income now, and anything that happens with Social Security is of really vital interest. So what you going to talk about today?
Yes, well, on that point there, I'll piggyback. We have over 38 million individuals who receive just a form of retirement benefits alone. And so sometimes after the show, we have our conversation, and someone will stop me in the public, and then they'll say, hey, well, what about us? And some of those us are individuals who are teachers or those who are in the public employees retirement system. So this is a great opportunity for me to discuss some of those changes that have been taking place in terms of how it relates to Social Security and the OPRS, Ohio Public Employees Retirement System. Right now, what's taking place is that the OPRS, Ohio Public Employees Retirement System, is making a change into a different retirement savings account. And so what takes place is that an individual must have their Medicare A and Part B. There are several people who do not have that Part A and that Part B. And so what's taking place is that Social Security is mailing out a letter to them saying, here's how you can file for that.
Let me back up here a little bit.
Yes.
Why would somebody not have Part A and Part B?
Excellent. And so if an individual pays into the Ohio Public Employees Retirement System, they do not pay those Part A taxes. So many of them may have been married to someone who does pay into Social Security and the Medicare tax total. So they have the A and B. So if someone is married, they are eligible for that Medicare Part B, at least on the spouse's record, or the Part B on their own, but they don't have the Part A. And so when they don't have that Part A, and the PRS is looking to go into their new healthcare account savings, those individuals need to have that Medicare Part A, and it helps to see who's primary and secondary. And so these individuals are getting notified, hey, we need you to file for your Medicare Part A benefits, which means they would have to contact Social Security because we're the avenue to Medicare. And then they're going to get this letter, and in that letter, it gives them instructions. It's a manila colored type envelope, and then that letter says, answer the questions, send it to Columbus, which is our Social Security office. We have already set up a procedure to receive those envelopes and start the process of making sure the individual gets their Medicare Part A. Now, if a person walks into our office with the letter in their hand, we're still going to assist them. But I just wanted to make sure to let the public know that, okay, if you get that letter, it's okay to fill it out and to send it in to Columbus, and we can start that process of completing their Medicare Part A.
So somebody who, primarily these are retired teachers we're talking about?
Or police and, police and fire have their own pension. State Teachers Retirement System, STRS, they have their own. This is PRS, so public employees. This is their retirement system. So those other two, this is not their issue. This is just for the Ohio Public Employees Retirement System.
And do most people know that that's what they are? If they are in that system, they know it?
Yes, they definitely know that. Yes, they receive notifications. They receive, just for their pay stubs itself, it shows them. And since they're retirees, they are also being notified through PRS of these instructions.
And so people who are affected by this change, they don't need to initiate a request for this letter. It's going to come to them automatically through the system?
That's right. It's going to come to them. And so it's A-OK. Now, I know there are some of your listeners, your viewers, they're very proactive. And so they want to make sure, okay, well, what can I do? What do I need to do? Again, if a person wants to come into our office because they have been notified through PRS to do so and they hadn't received the letter yet, that's okay. We'll still be able to take care of them. But as you said, yes, we're going to mail those notifications out to them. They'll receive it and they'll file. Now, let me make sure I explain to them why they're getting it now. There's different time frames for a person to enroll to Medicare. Speaking of traditional Medicare, you have an initial enrollment period. That's around the time the person becomes 65. You have a special enrollment period. That means I'm over age 65 and I'm still working, so I don't need to take Medicare Part B or Medicare Part A at this time. I'm A-OK. Then there's a general enrollment period, and that means the other two options have passed. It's been more than 3 months since they turned 65. It's been more than 8 months since they last worked underneath the employer group health plan. Then I can file any January, February, March. That's called a general enrollment period. So that's why these letters are coming out now in January, and they can enroll in January, February, and March, but it doesn't become effective till that July. So in July 2016, these individuals are going to be enrolled to their Medicare Part A, and we call it a premium high health insurance. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because there is a penalty for someone who files what we call late filing. They already had an option when they turned 65. Now, what's going to happen is that the state, PRS, they're going to be able to take care of that premium and that penalty for them. So that's another important point that I want to make sure that your viewers catch on to, that yes, it is what we call late filing, but the individual will be protected through the PRS system. They'll take care of that penalty.
And that's because it is the system that's initiating the change, not, it wasn't any accountability on the part of the recipient.
Yes, yes.
Well, I am so glad there's somebody like you and that we have this show to inform people, because it sure sounds complicated.
Yeah. It can be, but the main thing that I want to convey to everyone is that just take your time, take the envelope, fill it out, send it in, and we'll guide you through the rest of the steps there. So it's been in my opinion, a good relationship between Social Security and OPRS in terms of getting together, seeing what best practice we could start, so that way they can make sure this goes through smoothly as possible. Wow,
that is a big change for a number of our viewers.
Yes.
Who are in that situation. Any other changes that are coming up?
Yeah, there's something that I like to also cover in regards to Medicare. Each year, around September or so, individuals start to get a little antsy. When I say antsy, they want to know, okay, what's going to happen to the Social Security benefit, the amount, and my Medicare? In layman's terms, is it going up? How much are you going to charge me, right? So people will call me, they'll contact me, sometimes even before September, sometimes even in June, they want to know. And then I have to tell them, I do not know. I am not an economist. I don't have that high grade pay. So the point that I'm making is that we have something called a cost of living adjustment. Each year, we get information from the Consumer Price Index telling the U.S. Treasury Department whether or not we can increase our Social Security payments. So we at Social Security, we get word from someone else, they send it to us, and then we are able to make the adjustments in our payments. Now, there's something that's called a hold harmless provision. What this means is that if there is an increase in the Medicare premium, and that premium amount is higher than what Social Security can send out in terms of our checks, and there's no increase, then their Social Security check stays the same. So if someone in November has a Social Security payment of $1,000, then they hear that Medicare is going to go up to X amount of dollars, whatever that number may be. So they're thinking, oh Lord, and they're anticipating that it's going to go up, and they're thinking that their check is going to be lowered because there's no cost of living increase through the Social Security payments. And then they think that the Medicare premium is going to eat into that. Not so, because of the hold harmless provision. So my point with this is that because there's a hold harmless provision, anyone who is receiving a Social Security payment, the cash payment, and eligible for Medicare in November and December, they are locked into that same amount of their Medicare premium. In 2015, that dollar amount was $104.50. In 2016, that Medicare amount is $121.80. So you see that difference. Now, what I'm saying is that there are some people, they gather, whether it's here at the center and they're having conversations, and then they say, how much do you pay? And so one person will say 104. How much do you pay? And another person will say 121. Well, how is that? It's because of when that person was eligible, receiving their cash payment, and entitled to that Medicare premium. So those who are new to it in 2016, or maybe they didn't receive any cash payments in 2015, when they do start to receive their Medicare premiums in 2016, it could be $121.80 compared to some individuals $104.50. So I just want to kind of explain that a little bit, that yes, there is a possibility that two individuals could have different Medicare premiums because there was not a cost of living adjustment.
So the trigger there really is whether or not there's a cost of living adjustment.
Absolutely.
If there isn't, then you stick with the premium you had been paying out of your Social Security. And however, a newcomer might have a higher deduction for
That's
that.
Right. Irma, you are hired. You're going to have to work with me. You and I are going to go around from place to place for hour. Yes, absolutely. You're correct.
Well, I think I'm just happy doing it this way. But I appreciate that there are people like you who are out there spreading the word.
Yes,
I mean,
thank
this
you.
is important because, as I said earlier in the show, there are people who that is their major source of income.
Yes.
And even a matter of, what was that, about $15, $16, $17 difference.
The difference.
That can be the difference between meals.
Yes.
It can be a difference between gas for the
Gas,
car,
that's right.
which luckily is going down.
Yes, yes.
But it's amazing for someone on a fixed income just how much difference a couple dollars can make. So knowing that you're not going to be penalized for that, or as you said, I love that term you use, hold harmless.
Yes.
That they're being held harmless for this increase.
Absolutely.
They're not going to have to cover it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, well, you're just full of information
Well, I hope
today.
that's what we're supposed to do.
That's what
to
we
make
are.
sure that the more knowledgeable we all are, the more or the least the better decisions we can make. You know, at least have some type of comfort of what to expect in this year of 2016. So we want everybody to have a happy new year and at least be informed of what's going forward.
Well, what else is on your mind today?
Well, another topic that I like to make sure I cover, since we're in January, tax season is upon us, and individuals who receive Social Security benefits from 2015, they are going to receive a form called an SSA 1099. That form has information about how much payments did Social Security send out to them. And so when an individual files for their taxes, one of the questions is, did you receive a federal payment such as Social Security? And then that document, the 1099, is what is used as proof of what they actually received. Now this form is going to be mailed by January 31st. Now the real world is, I know that sometimes people don't go through all of their mail, or sometimes little Fido somehow jumped on the counter and pulled that down, and they say, okay, what do I do with that now? So an individual has an option of calling our 800 number, 1-800-772-1213. They can call that number to request it. They can also now go online to our website at socialsecurity.gov, socialsecurity.gov, and they can request that 1099. That form is, there's a process in which they can do to receive it. It's called a My Social Security account. A My Social Security account, what that does is allows the individual to answer certain questions that only they should know, to have an account, to have access to that 1099. I've done it myself. I don't want anyone to think that, okay, as a viewer, okay, you have to be receiving Social Security benefits in order to use this account.
Oh, you don't?
You don't. For example, you know that Social Security statement that we mailed out to individuals? I'll take a little sidebar on that. Prior years, we would mail out that statement every year, 3 months before someone's birthday. Now we mail out the Social Security statement every 5 years in 5-year increments, once someone reaches age 25, 30, 35, etc. And then once a person reaches age 60, we mail it out one time per year. So what if someone is in between those ages, in between those 5 years? They're 36, 43, or 57, and they want that statement. They can go to our website, socialsecurity.gov, look for the word My in red letters, click on that, and it'll ask them a series of questions that they should know. For example, when I did it, it asked me, did I live at 5 different streets? And I had to pick the correct one. Did I have a house that had 2, 4, 5, or 6 bathrooms? Of course, I wanted to make myself feel good, so I touched the 6 button, the 6 bedrooms, and I went back in, put the 2 on there. But once I answered all the questions correctly, now I have my own account. So my point is that individuals can set up their own account, and if FIDO did take that 1099, they can request it, they can see the 1099, what they received, they can save it and or print it out. So that way they can take it to their accountant or whoever's helping them file their taxes, or if they're doing it themselves, they have that document right there ready for them. So it's called a SSA 1099, and by accessing the account My Social Security, they will be able to get those 1099s just in case if something happens after January 31st.
Now, you mentioned a series of questions that you had to answer. Is that something that you go through just the first time when you're setting up this account?
Great question. The answer is yes. They only have to do that one time. And just so people understand, these questions are derived from Experian, the credit agency. So they have the information that someone already has listed. Did they go to a certain school, pay loans, what have you on that? And so that's where they're accessing this information. They do it one time, and so from then on, they'll have their own account.
And then once you have your own account, is it kind of the standard procedure? You have a login and you have a password?
Excellent. That's exactly what would happen. And I'll say to individuals this, if perchance there are any issues with terms of, let's say, maybe I forgot what street I lived on, and it has several of them, you're like, oh, which one? And you answer the questions incorrectly. Then it will allow you to then contact us coming into our local Social Security office, wherever's the closest branch to you, and show your driver's license, and then we will access that and take care of it for you from there.
So there are some very good security protections right into this system of setting up that account.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I would think that it would be a kind of fearful for some people to say, oh my gosh, I'm setting up an account that will access all my financial income.
Yeah, well,
over
it's
the
going
years.
to allow them to address and see certain things in which the Experian account has. However, we have 16 million individuals who've already done this. And a little fact is that every 6 seconds, someone opens a new account. And so this information has already been encrypted, and Social Security will not do anything until we have a high comfort level that this is going to be A-OK. So individuals it's the same as, I remember years ago when people would say, I'm not giving out my phone number. Oh no, I won't do that. And then you see time passes, and then people will say, all right, I feel a little more comfortable with that. And it's the same as with the computer. Now, again, I don't want to mislead anyone. Anyone can go online, or they can come into our office, and we still can give them this account. But by far, it's one of the safest things, just as like doing direct deposit. You remember when people said, oh, direct deposit, I don't know. But we have almost 90% of individuals in the state of Ohio alone, and Social Security beneficiaries. Their safest way of receiving their Social Security payments is through direct deposit.
That really is a good point to mention, because I remember in the past when Social Security checks were distributed, they were mailed out, what, by the 3rd of the month?
Yes, for some
Well,
individuals.
it is a very sad reality that at that time there used to be criminals who would literally drive through neighborhoods and looking for elderly people on their way to the bank to cash or deposit their Social Security checks. So having direct deposit has certainly cut down in that aspect of crimes against the elderly.
Making it safe and secure. And so then they don't have to worry about whether it's the weather that we're dealing with right now, having to go out and about. They know that that money is transferred electronically right to that account, and they're A-OK. Yes.
And now with this, you called it My Social Security is the name of the account?
Yes, My Social Security account.
Oh, that sounds like wonderful access for people who really want to stay on top of, what's being done. And
I'll add a little point to that. Sometimes I come across individuals who say, well, seniors don't use computers, and that is not true at all. And one of the fastest demographics of individuals who are using the computer is seniors. And I asked, how is it that Facebook has so many billions of users? You think none of those individuals are seniors? How is it that Grandma Johnny is looking at little Susie's first walk? Well, through Facebook. So how do you get Facebook? Through a computer. So I don't like the fact that sometimes it is, in my opinion, a stereotype that seniors aren't using computers. That is not true. Now, I will say, I understand that some people are more reluctant to use a computer. I think that's okay. I'm referring to individuals who would like to have another option. One option is to go in the office, another option is to call on the phone, and another option is to be able to access it on the computer. Some people have their sons, daughters, husband, wife, whoever it may be, help them, and that's okay too. This is just another option for people to access information, especially in times like this, for filing your taxes, to request a Medicare card. All these things can be done online now.
Well, I want to add a little plug there for the library systems, because most of them have computers that are available at no charge to the public. You don't want to have a computer at home, or you can't afford that expense, go to your library.
That's right.
And there are technology assistants at the libraries. And another thing about the libraries with their computer systems is they are constantly upgrading their security on them.
Absolutely.
So it is an option. You don't have to own a computer to take advantage of this option that you mentioned.
Right, exactly. I don't ask individuals, do they have a computer now? I just say, do you have, what's your email address? And they'll go, well, it's such and such Hotmail or Google or AOL or whatever it may be. I'll go, oh, that means they have used a computer. And that means they know, yes, they can go to the library or a senior center, other locations in order to access any information over the internet or obtaining their My Social Security accounts.
Well, my gosh, our time has just flown by. I've got 1 minute left to ask you, what else is it that you want to tell our viewing world out there?
Well, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that they still can contact Social Security through the 1-800 number, 772-1213. That number can be accessed from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Our office hours are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 to 4. Wednesdays are 9 to 12. Now, employees are still going to be there after Wednesday at 12:30 because they have the 8-hour shifts or what have you. But I just want to let people know that they have the option of calling the 800 number that I mentioned, going into the office in those hours, or going to our website at socialsecurity.gov, G-O-V.
Well, now you just mentioned the hours. The phone line, is that open 24/7, or is that also limited?
Yes, that's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So they can, but now they can 24/7 receive some information that's automated. But to receive a voice, an individual, that will be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I should let people know that we have 16 different what we call teleservices. So you can speak to someone here near Cleveland, Ohio, and speak to someone in Phoenix, Arizona, because that's how our phones are being managed. So I don't want anyone to think, well, as soon as I call there, I must be talking to the president. No, it doesn't work that way. This is just an 800 number in which people are there to facilitate, the phone calls and take care of your needs. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 24/7 for certain automated things like requesting a Medicare card. That can be a push button system, or they can go to our website at socialsecurity.gov.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for coming in again. I'm telling you, this is just like the fastest show that we ever do. It just zips along. And thank you, everyone, for watching. We enjoy having you with us through our program. Please do remember our sponsor, RSVP, the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, which is part of Mature Services. And do tune in again next time. From everyone here, have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Since 1971, RSVP has been matching volunteers' talents to community needs. RSVP is affiliated with the Corporation for National and Community Service, a national organization that supports service and volunteering through grant-funded projects. Volunteers organize neighborhood watch programs, tutor children, renovate homes, plant community gardens, assist victims of natural disasters, and serve their communities in many other ways. RSVP offers maximum flexibility and choice to its volunteers as it matches the personal interests and skills of Americans 55 and older with opportunities to serve their communities. If you're interested in adding more meaning to your life and improving the lives of others, please call 330-253-4597, extension 166.